Istanbul is a major city in Turkey that straddles Europe and Asia across the Bosphorus Strait. Its old city reflects cultural influences of the many empires that once ruled here. In the Sultanahmet district, the open-air, Roman-era hippodrome was for centuries the site of chariot races, and Egyptian obelisks also remain. The iconic Byzantine Hagia Sophia features a soaring 6th-century dome and rare Christian mosaics. Istanbul, historically known as Byzantium and Constantinople, is the largest city in Turkey and the country's economic, cultural and historic center. The city straddles the Bosphorus Strait, and lies in both Europe and Asia, with a population of over 15 million residents, comprising 19% of the population of Turkey. Istanbul is the most populous city in Europe, and the world's 15th largest city. Founded as Byzantium by Megarian colonists in 660 BCE, and renamed as Constantinople in 330 CE, the city grew in size and influence, becoming a beacon of the Silk Road and one of the most important cities in history. It served as an imperial capital for almost 16 centuries, during the Roman, Byzantine 330–1204, Latin 1204–1261, Byzantine 1261–1453, and Ottoman 1453–1922 empires. It was instrumental in the advancement of Christianity during Roman and Byzantine times, before its transformation to an Islamic stronghold following the fall of Constantinople in 1453 CE. In 1923, after the Turkish War of Independence, Ankara replaced the city as the capital of the newly formed Republic of Turkey. In 1930 the city's name was officially changed to Istanbul, an appellation Greek speakers used since the 11th century to colloquially refer to the city. Over 13.4 million foreign visitors came to Istanbul in 2018, 8 years after it was named a European Capital of Culture, making the city the world's 5th most popular tourist destination. Istanbul is home to several UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and hosts the headquarters of numerous Turkish companies, accounting for more than 30% of the country's economy. The first known name of the city is Byzantium, the name given to it at its foundation by Megarian colonists around 660 BCE. Megarian colonists claimed a direct line back to the founders of the city, Byzas, the son of the god Poseidon and the nymph Ceressa. Modern excavations has raised the possibility that the name Byzantium might reflect the sites of native Thracian settlements that preceded the fully fledged town. Constantinople comes from the Latin name Constantinus, after Constantine the Great, the Roman emperor who refounded the city in 324 CE. Constantinople remained the most common name for the city in the West until the 1930s, when Turkish authorities began to press for the use of Istanbul in foreign languages. Constantine the Great effectively became the emperor of the whole of the Roman Empire in September 324. 2 months later, he laid out the plans for a new, Christian city to replace Byzantium. As the eastern capital of the empire, the city was named Nova Roma, most called it Constantinople, a name that persisted into the 20th century. On the 11th of May 330, Constantinople was proclaimed the capital of the Roman Empire, which was later permanently divided between the two sons of Theodosius I upon his death on the 17th of January 395, when the city became the capital of the Eastern Roman, Byzantine Empire. Following the conquest of Constantinople, Mehmed II immediately set out to revitalize the city. Cognizant that revitalization would fail without the repopulation of the city, Mehmed II welcomed everyone, foreigners, criminals, and runaways, showing extraordinary openness and willingness to incorporate outsiders that came to define Ottoman political culture. He also invited people from all over Europe to his capital, creating a cosmopolitan society that persisted through much of the Ottoman period. Revitalizing Istanbul also required a massive program of restorations, of everything from roads to aqueducts. Like many monarchs before and since, Mehmed II transformed Istanbul's urban landscape with wholesale redevelopment of the city center. There was a huge new palace to rival, if not overshadow, the old one, a new covered market, still standing as the Grand Bazaar, porticos, pavilions, walkways, as well as more than a dozen new mosques. Mehmed II turned the ramshackle old town into something that looked like an imperial capital. Istanbul has borderline Mediterranean climate, humid subtropical climate and oceanic climate with generally cool winters and warm to hot summers, mean temperature peaking at 21.5 degrees Celsius (70.7 degrees Fahrenheit) in August. Spring and fall are usually mild, with varying conditions dependent on wind direction. The Fatih district, which was named after Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror, corresponds to what was, until the Ottoman conquest in 1453, the whole of the city of Constantinople, today is the capital district and called the historic peninsula of Istanbul, on the southern shore of the Golden Horn, across the medieval Genoese citadel of Galata on the northern shore. The Genoese fortifications in Galata were largely demolished in the 19th century, leaving only the Galata Tower, to make way for the northward expansion of the city. Galata is today a quarter within the Pera district, which forms Istanbul's commercial and entertainment center and includes Istiklal Avenue and Taksim Square. Istanbul is primarily known for its Byzantine and Ottoman architecture, and despite its development as a Turkish city since 1453, contains both Christian and ancient monuments. Since 2004, the municipal boundaries of Istanbul have been coincident with the boundaries of its province. The city, considered capital of Istanbul Province, is administered by the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality (MMI), which oversees the 39 districts of the city province. Throughout most of its history, Istanbul has ranked among the largest cities in the world. By 500 CE, Constantinople had somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000 people, edging out its predecessor, Rome, for the world's largest city. Istanbul was historically known as a cultural hub, but its cultural scene stagnated after the Turkish Republic shifted its focus toward Ankara. The new national government established programs that served to orient Turks toward musical traditions, especially those originating in Europe, but musical institutions and visits by foreign classical artists were primarily centered in the new capital. Much of Turkey's cultural scene had its roots in Istanbul, and by the 1980s and 1990s Istanbul re-emerged globally as a city whose cultural significance is not solely based on its past glory. Istanbul has numerous shopping centers, from the historic to the modern. The Grand Bazaar, in operation since 1461, is among the world's oldest and largest covered markets. Mahmut Pasha Bazaar is an open-air market extending between the Grand Bazaar and the Egyptian Bazaar, which has been Istanbul's major spice market since 1660. Galleria Ataköy ushered in the age of modern shopping malls in Turkey when it opened in 1987. The Bosporus or Bosphorus, also known as the Strait of Istanbul, is a narrow, natural strait and an internationally significant waterway located in northwestern Turkey. It forms part of the continental boundary between Europe and Asia, and divides Turkey by separating Anatolia from Thrace. As a maritime waterway, the Bosporus connects various seas along the eastern Mediterranean, the Balkans, the Near East, and western Eurasia, and specifically connects the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara. The Marmara further connects to the Aegean and Mediterranean seas via the Dardanelles. Thus, the Bosporus allows maritime connections from the Black Sea all the way to the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean via Gibraltar, and the Indian Ocean through the Suez Canal, making it a crucial international waterway, in particular for the passage of goods coming in from Russia. The exact cause and date of the formation of the Bosporus remain the subject of debate among geologists. One recent hypothesis, dubbed the Black Sea Deluge hypothesis, which was launched by a study of the same name in 1997 by two scientists from Columbia University, postulates that the Bosporus was flooded around 5600 BCE, revised to 6800 BCE in 2003, when the rising waters of the Mediterranean Sea and the Sea of Marmara breached through to the Black Sea, which at the time, according to the hypothesis, was a low-lying body of fresh water. The limits of the Bosporus are defined as the connecting line between the lighthouses of Rumeli Feneri and Anadolu Feneri in the north, and between the Ahirkapi Feneri and the Kadikoy Insaburnu Feneri in the south. Between these limits, the strait is 31 kilometers (17 nmi) long, with a width of 3,329 meters (1.798 nmi) at the northern entrance and 2,826 meters (1.526 nmi) at the southern entrance. Its maximum width is 3,420 meters (1.85 nmi) between Umuryeri and Büyükdere Limani, and minimum width 700 meters (0.38 nmi) between Kandili Point and Asian. It had been known since before the 20th century that the Black Sea and the Sea of Marmara flow into each other in a geographic example of density flow, and in August 2010, a continuous underwater channel of suspension composition was discovered to flow along the floor of the Bosporus, which would be the sixth largest river on Earth if it were to be on land. The study of the water and wind erosion of the straits relates to that of its formation. Sections of the shore have been reinforced with concrete or rubble, and sections of the strait prone to deposition are periodically dredged. As part of the only passage between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, the Bosphorus has always been of great importance from a commercial and military point of view, and remains strategically important today. It is a major sea access route for numerous countries, including Russia and Ukraine. Control over it has been an objective of a number of conflicts in modern history, notably the Russo-Turkish War 1877–78, as well as of the attack of the Allied powers on the Dardanelles during the 1915 Battle of Gallipoli in the course of World War I. The architectural style of the Bosporus began to be shaped by simple houses in the fishing villages established on the coast during the Byzantine period. The mansions, which were placed on the shores during the Ottoman period, became one of the most outstanding examples of Bosphorus architecture and have been identified with the Bosphorus for years. The number of mansions built on the two sides of the Bosphorus for centuries and has reached today is about 360. Today, the majority of them still preserves their old forms, are among the most expensive real estate both in Turkey and Istanbul. Many palace buildings has also built in the Bosphorus, which was one of the most popular places of the palace people during the Ottoman period. Dolmabahce Palace, Siragan Palace, Beylerbeyi Palace, Adil Sultan Palace, Küçüksu Pavilion and Beykoz Mescidiye Pavilion are some of most striking structures used by sultans and their relatives from time to time. Historical buildings such as Galatasaray University, Egyptian Consulate and Sakip Sabancı Museum are among the most famous architectural examples of the Bosphorus. In the Ottoman era there was a tradition of building mosques and pier squares as well as pier buildings in the important districts of the Bosphorus. Besiktas Pier, Ortaköy Square, Ortaköy Mosque, Bebek Mosque, Beylerbeyi Mosque and Semsipasa Mosque are some of traces from that tradition. Istanbul is known for its historic seafood restaurants. Many of the city's most popular and upscale seafood restaurants line the shores of the Bosphorus, particularly in neighborhoods like Ortaköy, Bebek, Arnavutköy, Yeniköy, Beylerbeyi and Çengelköy. Kumkapi along the Sea of Marmara has a pedestrian zone that hosts around 50 fish restaurants. The Prince's Islands, 15 kilometers from the city center, are also popular for their seafood restaurants.